Oh, hi, Homeworthy. I'm so excited to have you back. I'm Marko, and welcome to my home in Southampton. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Marko Arsic. I'm a real estate agent in New York City, and welcome to my Southampton home. As you guys might remember, you have seen my New York City apartment on the Upper East Side, and this is basically the extension of it. This is my suburban Upper East Side home in Southampton, New York. As a real estate broker, I am always on the lookout for a house. So it was very spontaneously. I was actually on vacation in the south of France and I saw this house online and something just told me, oh my God, I have to go see this house. It was very well priced and it was exactly in the place where I wanted to be. And so the day I came back from vacation, I actually came here to see the house and absolutely fell in love with it. So it was a very spontaneous decision, but it was the best decision I've ever made. Even when I was trying to find a house or looking for something online, my idea was always, I don't want a massive house. And I see massive apartments and I see huge real estate, massive houses. For me, it was always about having this cottage feel of a property. So I really was very specific on finding a smaller house. And so this actually used to be an extremely small house that just got extended about 15 years ago. So the original layout was about 1,200 square feet. Now it's about 1,800. So they added another 600 plus there is more space in the back that's being built on. But it was always something that I kind of wanted to keep and have as not overly massive rooms that you don't really use. So when you walk into the house, you have a foyer and then you have the front part of the house, which is the kitchen and living room, the back house that has the dining room and the little nook area with the day bed, and then the 3 bedrooms upstairs. I've lived in this house for a little over a year. This was to me a dream come true, really. Even when I first came to the Hamptons like 10 years ago, I always thought about this, wow, this is a goal. This is the idea that I would love for me to happen one day. But I was thinking, okay, there's going to be many other homes in other parts of the country or state that I will probably have first. I could not imagine that this would be my first, and it's not a shabby one. Welcome to my living room. I'm super excited to show you this because this is my favorite part of this tour and this is my favorite part of the house. We got the fire going for this tour and this is kind of something I do every single day I'm here, summer and winter. The house is pretty petite and small, but the ceiling height makes it feel a lot more bigger than it actually is. Originally, there were 2 round chandeliers in the middle of the room. Changed the wiring to have one of these chandeliers. Overhead light is a big no-no in my community and in my world. So this is just for the vibes, really. One of the first things that we bought for this house was actually the rug that we're sitting on. And it's the company I raved about in my New York City apartment, and I have to talk about it now. It's Nordic Knots. They're super fluffy and it's 100% wool. Really good quality, love this company. This is a little chestnut color, I believe, and it ties into this vintage feel of the house that we wanted to have. Even though we have smaller windows here, I think when the house was originally built, this was the part of this extension that was built on top of the structure of the house. There was not a lot of greenery in the front, so I believe that the previous owners just wanted to keep the extra high windows for privacy reasons. My idea is to eventually, when we turn the garage into a primary bedroom, change the windows into larger, longer windows to let more natural light, but I actually kind of like it. It keeps it more cozy and petite. We got a maiden home sofa. This is flower wheat linen. It's this off-white color. It's actually an extremely comfortable sofa. It's an amazing sofa to sit on. What I like about Made in Home is that you can customize your sofa to your specific size and liking. And we got this in 110 inches, which I thought was like such a big couch. But it actually fits really well in the space. A lot of the things that are in the house are very reminiscent of our New York City apartment. There is this new Instagram page, it's called Saman, that I really, really like. And this table and the lamp is from them, and also this little Greek goddess statue on the plinth in the corner. One of the things that I think we waited for the longest in this house was this coffee table, which if anyone has watched my tour in the New York City apartment knows how long I waited for a coffee table, and I think this is just what has to happen in every of my houses, but 8 months or 6 months for this thing. It was delayed like 4 times, and it's this travertine, super cool coffee table. We styled it with a lot of vintage books, and a lot of the decor in the house is very neutral and vintage feel, and a lot of the things that we collected is something that we've collected over the last year or many years, and then kind of combined it from the apartment in here. But I found this blue vase from Lulu in Georgia that I thought would be such a nice and unexpected accent. I am not necessarily a color person, so this is the farthest I will ever go. One of the things I think what I wanted to talk about is, and I think I said it in the previous video, that a good home takes time. And one of the biggest challenges in furnishing a home is really doing it slowly. And again, I'm not a patient person, and most people want a fully done house immediately or within a couple of months. So we went through 4 different variations of what is going to go on this wall. And even though this is a temporary situation, temporary meaning a year to 2 years, I wanted to feel like it always was there or like it belongs there. And eventually there will be a large door that slides into a second room. But for now, we decided to put these bookcases because I just love collecting things, and I love to have things in my house, and I love little tchotchkes and moments. We had an idea for a mirror that we bought, and then it didn't fit there. And then there were sconces and they didn't fit there. And then there was a tapestry that somehow didn't really feel right. And then ultimately it became a bookshelf. And I'm very happy with that decision because I get to display all of the books and little items that I've collected from other parts of the world. I don't know if you guys remember, but in New York City, I have one little plant that was like holding on a string, and it's doing so much better. So whoever paid an Etsy witch while looking at that video to help my plant grow, it does grow, and it's doing really well. But this is the only one that we have here. And obviously, because this is a second home, we're not here at all times, and we mostly spend weekends here. So I wanted to find something that can survive, but then actually doesn't require a lot of maintenance. And I think this is ficus. It actually grew quite a lot over the last year, and it does really well. And this doesn't really require a lot of work and maintenance. So if you're looking for a low maintenance plant, this is definitely the one to get. My pride and joy of this house is this fireplace. It's so beautiful. We had the trim painted to match the same color of the ceiling. I wanted a little difference. It's an extremely high fireplace, and because we're not doing, I don't really love a TV above fireplace, so mirror reflects some light. I just love sitting down, having a drink, or having a morning coffee and having a fireplace going. It's super serene, and it's so calming, really. We don't really necessarily do a lot of fires in our New York City apartment, but then we're here, it's just so much easier. Last but not least, this is genuinely my pride and joy, and this is the only thing that we actually did not buy. This came with the house, and this is like the heirloom to the house. This is the only thing that the previous sellers have left us, and I'm beyond grateful for that. I think the reason they left it is because it's about 400 pounds. It's extremely heavy, and like you basically can barely move it. It's actually super interesting because when you pull it out, it's a writing desk, and it has a little mirror in the back, and all these drawers. They're empty, but they're like so beautiful. It's such a interesting piece, and I couldn't find the original idea, like where this is from, but I just thought it was so beautiful. It really fits with the house very properly, and I love it. It's like the main piece in this living room. And again, it's the only thing that we didn't buy, but it's the one thing that we love the most. So my New York City apartment doesn't really have a lot of natural sunlight. We're facing north, overlooking the backyard and this beautiful tree, but it doesn't have a lot of direct sunlight. This house has a lot of light, which to me is a little interesting because I'm not used to it in New York City. So I love the light coming through. I love the reflection on the sofa. I love the little moments and vignettes of lights coming through all different parts of the house. I love the living room and dining room that's separate, and there is a beautiful corner in the dining room that gets a lot of natural light. Feels really nice. So I have a very specific style in New York City. Obviously, the apartment is in a townhouse and it's a parlor floor. So I thought naturally that really fits perfectly with a Parisian style apartment. This is a little bit different. This used to be a very tiny little cottage that was built on with the extensions. So I wanted to keep the same idea of the house, and I wanted it to feel as much as possible like a tiny little cottage. So all these rooms are not massive, they're not super traditional. And so I wanted the style really to reflect that. So that's why I thought darker, moody, and a lot of neutral colors would help it feel like it is a small cottage. And so that's kind of the vibe for the whole house, which I'll show you around. This house is a little bit different from the apartment in New York City just because it's larger, but other than that, I kind of kept this really as an extension of my interior design ideas and what I like in home decor. Basically a suburban version of my New York City apartment. And it just, there's really not a lot of difference between these two in terms of the style. So this is just a weekend extension of the New York City apartment. I think the biggest challenge in designing a home is the wait time and the lead time to buy furniture, especially if you don't want something that's off the rack and then you can get delivered within the 2 days. That's, I think, what takes the longest. Is some pieces would take 6 months and 4 months, and then putting them together, even though sometimes you think, oh, this is gonna look wonderful, it just doesn't work. And when they're in the space, you freak out if they don't work. And I have definitely had a very fair share of changing the furniture, both in my New York City apartment and here, just because I thought they will work perfectly together. And then when they all arrive, something doesn't match. So I think people have to be okay with moving things around and switching their positions and returning items, and some things just don't quite match together. This is the entryway landing area to the house. It's honestly a work in progress. I have not yet had the time to really think about what I want done here. So we have a little console from Soho Home, a Lulu and Georgia mirror, and some vintage pottery with new flowers from the farm. I am someone who cannot leave the house without a cologne, so I always had to have something on the grab that I can take and just spray on and leave the house. But it's a pretty nice size entryway. It kind of separates the dining area in the back and then the living over here, and then obviously the stairs to go upstairs. But I have not yet fully utilized this as I wanted with some art and wallpapering. There's always things to do. And going into really beautiful nook, which is the dining area. I like that it's surrounded by windows and it has so much light here. We've got this chandelier from Soho Home, and then a table from our house, really sturdy, really beautiful oak table, some vintage pieces from Chicago and Feast vintage actually. I thought they were a little funky, and I really liked this scalloped look. I thought it adds a little bit of I don't know, some interesting moment to the dining. This is one of the things that I was talking about earlier. Sometimes you buy things and they look differently in the photos. I thought these chairs are going to be a little bit darker. They came back with basically the identical color as the dining table, and so it's the bar. So a lot of it's extremely similar wood tone, which I don't necessarily like. So we're going to be wallpapering this room with a wall mural, which will darken up the space a little bit, and it will help with the drapery being so bright. But again, you don't know how the furniture will look until you actually get it in the space, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. In my opinion, this room has a lot of the same wood tone and a lot of the same things that kind of like tie together. And I think I want to change it a little bit, but it works and I love it. I love the pattern. I love this love seat that if you have friends sitting together, it's a pretty nice place to entertain. I love that we have a bar here. I'll show you what's inside. A lot of vintage furniture and vintage moments here, but the bar is a work in progress that's always filling, and it never ends. So a lot of champagne and a lot of different spirits. Obviously, it can be always stocked up more, but I think it's not too bad. Getting ready for the winter. The bar is from Soho Home, and I love how sturdy it is. It's actually like a really nice piece. I was thinking to change these knobs into something a little cooler, but I love the details. I think they're beautiful, and I like that it fits a lot. I like that you can add glassware and spirits, and you have a lot of room to stock up your bar. It's a pretty prideful piece. I was most surprised about living in the Hamptons, about how peaceful it is and how recharged I get in literally like 24 hours. So sometimes I would come here just to spend the night and wake up in the morning and be around the greenery, because we just don't have that much green space in the city. And that has really been super helpful to my mental health and calming down and getting recharged and being ready for another week and hustling in New York City. I'll start with the pro of buying a house in the Hamptons is that you have basically another extension of your New York City life. Most of the people who are in the Hamptons are people from New York City, so you'll be around a lot of your friends and colleagues and people who you know from New York, which is great if you like to entertain and meet your friends. Because you can just meet out here on the weekends. There's a lot of great farmers market and shops and beaches, and it's very serene and calm, and people are very stress-free here, which is completely different than New York City. So you do get to have this balance of being on the go in the city, but then coming out here and really relaxing, and people are much more relaxed out here. Even though it's the same kind of people, we're all the same people from New York, but you definitely do have this sense of serenity here. So the pro is definitely that, having more space, having the extension of your living from the city out here. The cons is you own a house, so there is a lot that comes with owning a house, and I did not necessarily know what owning a house meant. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna buy a house and so be it. I'll take care of it as I did the apartment in the city, and it's not. There is a lot of these things that you have to check and control and do inspections every 6 months and change filters, and I had no idea about any of that. So literally the week after we bought the house, there was a massive leak in the basement, and that was thousands of dollars that I got hit on. So that's something that you basically don't know what you're getting when you buy a house, but everything has its pro and con. This is a really cool part of the house because it's sort of tucked in the back of the house, and the original idea for this is to be my office. I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you that in the living room, I've had so many variations for the back wall, and this large mirror was the original variation for it. It is from Crate and Barrel, and it is extremely heavy, and so we wanted it hung on the wall, and that unfortunately never worked. So we had it in one of the guest bedrooms. It didn't kind of feel right there. It doesn't feel right either here because I want my desk to be here and have this little nook that I can chill when I get crazy emails. But for now, the mirror is here, and I don't know where is it gonna go, but it will go somewhere at some point. I like that it opens up to a little patio and obviously the backyard. We have a grill here, so we grill a lot and we barbecue a lot when we have a lot of friends and just by ourselves. My nephew's favorite part was actually this day bed. This is where he spent a lot of his time, and I thought that was so cute. So I just want to keep it as like his little part of the house. We painted this in this really nice dark chocolate brown color. Because this room gets a lot of natural light, I thought that this would be a great opportunity to go a little darker. We do have two of our bedrooms fully painted with the ceiling, so I wanted to actually keep this a little brighter and more open. I like that this is all original to the house. It came with the house, the built-in bookshelves, and some storage, which again, I have plenty of here and I don't have a lot in New York. I worked with the company 2 Pages, which I worked with in New York City to create custom drapery for extremely high ceiling apartment. So we worked together to create all of the drapery and shades for this house, and we did this natural linen. This is a little off-white color, which will tie in pretty well when the wall mural comes in. What I really like is that they now have a relaxed option for Roman shades, and I just love the way they fall, and I love the way how relaxed they feel. They don't feel very stiff. So we have basically the entire house done with 2 Pages, and strongly recommend the brand. They're extremely affordable for a very great quality. They have a ton of options. And this is actually a second variation. So we went through a first variation that we didn't really like, and then they sent us brand new ones, and these are absolutely lovely. First bathroom downstairs, pocket doors, pretty heavy. I really like that the bathroom is separated. It is a full bathroom, and it's on the first floor. You obviously have, each floor has one. We added a shower curtain from Restoration Hardware. I love them for their linens. They're fantastic. I love their towels and placemats. The bathroom is pretty simple. We haven't really done much to it. Obviously, there's always plans for something new and something different, but I like that it's clean, it's easy, and it's nice. There's not a lot of patterns in this house, which you will see, and I just like it to continue that way. What inspires me, I think, is my job. I think I get inspired by other people's furniture and taste, and then I create my own. And as my career evolved and changed, so did my style. I think I was in the beginning and very early stages of my career, I was not exposed to a lot of great homes. It was a very early stage of my real estate journey, so I did not really see the best homes, and I did not sell the best homes in the sense of the best design places. And as I started to grow in my career, I really started to get exposed to a lot of phenomenal apartments and a lot of phenomenal homes with a lot of great styles. So obviously I started to feel like I will bring all of those ideas into my own home. So even when I look at my previous apartments in the city, they quite honestly all had a very similar aesthetic. It's just that I think with the time, I started to understand scale a little bit better. I started to understand the tones a little bit better. I started to understand how things can fit with one another or not, and mixing and matching things that don't necessarily mix or match. And so it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of error and trial to actually feel good in the space and to actually feel good to order furniture. But that definitely came with more experience I had in my job, and the more I saw, the more I started to be experienced in designing as well. I'm not a designer. I've never had any sort of design experience. This is all what I learned online and what I learned with my job. There's been a lot of shifts since COVID, since 2020. A lot of people have purchased homes outside of the city during COVID and after, because they just realized how small the apartments are in New York City. So they felt like they need more space. So a lot of people, if they haven't thought about it, started thinking about it and started saving up for this second place or a weekend place, just because we're so cramped in New York City everywhere, in restaurants, in homes, and at jobs, and our desks. Like, everything is super tight. So people definitely started to follow this new trend of buying a second home, or even just renting an apartment in the city, but then their first purchase to be something as a house outside of New York City, whether that's New Jersey, upstate, the Hamptons, any other parts, Connecticut, any other parts of surrounding areas of New York City. So I definitely have seen a lot of shift towards that. And I think more and more people are eager to buy places outside of New York. I just want to show you a piece of our garden. It looks absolutely beautiful. This is my favorite time of the year to be in the Hamptons, because everything kind of starts to die out a little bit, and fall is my favorite part of the year. This is just one part of it. A lot of hydrangeas, a lot of different types. I like that we have multiple parts of our backyard. So we have a grill here that we grill. The pool is getting out there. We have a beautiful pergola that we spend most of our time under. It's phenomenal. And considering that you don't have any of this in New York City, or most people don't have, it feels wonderful to be out. It's super peaceful. You are in the forest after all, so you're in the midst of just trees, and it's amazing. We're in my backyard, which obviously is one of my favorite places to spend in the summer. This is so serene and so beautiful. We have an outdoor shower, and then there's this kind of porch, and then the star of the show, you know, when I saw this house, it was basically this time last year. It was an extremely beautiful day. Walking outside and being under this pergola, felt so romantic and so special. There's an outdoor fireplace, and we just installed a lantern, and it's just so beautiful. I've had a lot of friends and my family over the last couple of months, and really the last year here, and it's been the most magical place to spend the day. Having people run through the backyard has been so beautiful. Having my nephew and niece just be here, enjoying has been really fulfilling for me. This is exactly where the pool is being plotted soon. So all of that actually, interestingly enough, has to go. I had no idea that once you put up a pool that you have to take out all of your landscaping. But basically, all of this has to go. We'll keep it temporarily on the other side, and then we'll plot it back again. But the pool is going to be here, and I'm excited for the next summer to spend right in the same place, but just a little bit in the bottom, and swimming. Overlooking this view of the house is my favorite. It blooms so beautifully. There's a wisteria here and this orange trumpets. And then we've had a bunch of different plants. We have actually just closed the backyard for the summer because it just started to rain a lot in the fall and it started to get cold. So this is the last time we'll be kind of looking at it before the next spring. My favorite room in this house is actually the TV room, which is one of the bedrooms that we just felt like there is no need for an additional guest bedroom. So we turned that into a TV room. I didn't want a TV in this space because I really wanted the living room to feel inviting for friends and family to just gather and have a little music and just be in the space, enjoying the fire. TV room is like where you go before you go to bed and just like unwind and fall asleep on a very comfortable couch. It's dark and moody and dark red, and it's a beautiful color, and I just love spending time there. Welcome to my kitchen. This is the biggest kitchen I've ever had. And obviously living in New York City, I had a kitchen this big for the longest time. So this is really the place that's a dream for me because I get to cook. And I love to cook. I love to do pastries and bread and different kinds of pastas and all these different things. And this is really the dream, to have so much space to actually cook. For anyone in New York City, everyone knows that you don't really have the time to cook. And here you have all this space. So I've got a lot of gadgets over the last years to prepare food, which I can store properly now. This kitchen used to be dark gray. It was pretty builder's grade finish. And we had it completely repainted and changed the hardware. Over the last year, we've had a lot of guests in this house, and we all gather here. Like, this is where everything happens. We always try to have guests sit in the living room, or let's have a dinner in the dining room, or let's go outside. We all gather here, and you have everything you need. You have a fridge, a wine cooler, and a massive island for food. And this is where all of the friends gather, and it's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite thing to have my nieces and nephews here, and we're all entertaining and eating, and it's really genuinely one of my favorite parts of this house. We are replacing this countertop, but the production is taking a while, so everything is a project in this house, if you ask me. What I like a lot about this particular kitchen is that you're washing dishes and overlooking the garden, and we all know in New York City that's basically not existent. So watching some greenery while you wash dishes is pretty amazing. We also got this vintage rug from Blank Marine Boutique. They have like fantastic selection of vintage rugs. And so if you're looking for a vintage wool rug, this is the best place to go and find. I like that the kitchen is open and it's big. I like to keep it clean. I am a clean freak. I keep the house clean the whole time and every single day. So I like that there is not much on the counter. I like to add it up, but I try it and then it just gives me some sort of anxiety and I'm like, okay, get everything out. Having a bigger kitchen absolutely affects how I cook. I've had 10 people here and I was cooking for 10 people, which I've never really done in New York City. I mean, I would have a lot of friends in our apartment, but it's very rare for you to cook in New York City for that many people, especially in my apartment, which is not big. Here, however, I have so much storage space for a lot of these things that I wouldn't necessarily think of buying. I mean, even talking about 3 food processors, like no one has as many in New York City. So having so much space here definitely gives you an opportunity to experiment with your cooking skills. And as someone who really enjoys cooking, just having a large stove and a larger fridge and a lot of counter space, I get to do a lot of things that are out of my comfort zone, but that I get to actually create in this kitchen because I have space. There's been a lot of dishes that I've done here. I have made a lot of pastries here. I've made a lot of breads. I've made a lot of croissants. I've made some great cheesecakes. I did a lot. We do pastas almost every weekend and different kinds. It's pretty amazing. And we're gonna go up to the second floor now. I have actually just done this new carpeting, and it's from a local company in Southampton called Sisal Rugs. And they came in, installed this in a few hours. I'm super happy. I worked with the owner on a design with this. I think it matches really well with this wallpaper. This is from Sandberg Wallpaper. The idea here is really to do a lot of pictures and a gallery wall. Obviously, that's one of the last things I want to be doing right now, and creating a gallery wall takes a long time. So it'll look very curated at some point. So I don't know, maybe you guys will do it this tour again. Welcome to my favorite room of the house. This is my TV room, and this is where we spend most of our time before going to bed. I absolutely love this room. We have a Samsung frame TV. It's my favorite thing. One thing that we could do here is we could actually get the wire in behind the wall. We couldn't do that in New York City, so I was extremely happy with that. This is from Crate and Barrel, I believe. One of my favorite hotels in the world was Aman in Phuket, Thailand. And so we got this in January, often just browsing and looking at the hotels that we hopefully will stay at some point soon. I like this room because it's all painted dark cherry, chestnut kind of color, and I just love the color. It changes so much during the day, and at night it becomes really moody and really dark. I like that we have a pull-out sofa. This is from Maidenhome. It's an extremely comfortable sofa. It's a great sofa to lay down and watch TV. When we have a lot of guests, you can also use this as a bedroom, which we do, and it's a pull-out sofa. Pretty phenomenal. Lula and Georgia rug. I'll say this is the only other rug that's not Nordic Knots, but it's pretty good. Some vintage pieces. We've got this vintage tripod chair from my favorite vintage collector in Chicago, a la carte studios. And I do want to mention her. She's phenomenal. Sammy has curated a lot of my house and my apartment, and I think I talked about her in my previous tour. This is from Soho Home, and this is from Soho Home. I absolutely love Soho Home. I think they have fantastic furniture. It's very good quality, and it just fits my style really well. I've worked with a company, Deco Frames, to provide frames for this house and my apartment in the city. It's one of my really favorite things to create this kind of picture moment instead of a TV. No one likes to look at black screens, and this just looks like it's an oil painting that's always been there, and it looks amazing in my opinion. Some vintage pottery, and these couple of art pieces are also from Blank Marine Boutique. Again, vintage frames with not so vintage art, but it looks vintage, which is great. And it just gives this kind of lived-in feel. What are the big changes that we're going to make to this place? Well, one of the biggest changes is we're going to turn a attached garage into a primary bedroom with pretty nice walk-in closet and a pretty nice bathroom. It has about 18 feet in ceiling height, so it'll be very dramatic and it'll open up to the backyard. Doing any kind of renovation in the Hamptons is extremely tedious, and it's an extremely long process. Doing anything here, I mean, it's sort of like in New York City. You have to go through all these approvals, and over here they're backlogged because a lot of people are doing a lot of work building new houses. So there's just a lot of paperwork that you go through and a lot of waiting pattern that you don't know what's gonna happen. But I'm really excited about both of those projects. I'm a kind of person that always like a project, so even when something is complete, I find something new to do. It motivates me, and it keeps me active and it keeps me kind of like daydreaming about this new project that we're gonna do. So I'm excited. I'm sure that we will not stop once we do those two things, and there's gonna be something more. And I already think about what I can do to the exterior, and we've done a lot of landscaping, so there is always something new, and I like that part of myself and having a property. I really like that the ceiling height is super dramatic here, so we had an opportunity to bring a pretty big chandelier to kind of change the height of the bedroom, but it's the kind of sloped ceiling over here, and I really like that. Blue is not necessarily my color, but again, I've used it throughout the house because I thought it was matching the Hamptons vibe, and so we got this light blue color from Benjamin Moore. We painted the ceiling as well. The original idea was to color drench it and paint all of the trims as well, which we did in another room. But when the painter finished with the painting of the bedroom here, he left the trims as like a second day, and I just liked it like this, and I was like, you know what, let's keep it this way. This is pretty nice. I like that it's a corner. All you see when you wake up is greenery, which is the best part of really waking up here. I scored this really wonderful storage chest from a curator online that's called Sylvie. I was really proud that I was able to get this. It's amazing. Get a bunch of blankets inside. I like to add a lot of books, vintage books and pottery. Got this beautiful piece from Hong Kong when I was there with my partner this year. It was wonderful, and I love to keep it there. 2 pages, again, with all of these curtains. I like that they're pleated, and I like natural materials, so linen just works perfectly over here. For the bedroom, for the bed cover, we actually worked with, I hope I'm going to pronounce this right, but it's called Cultivar, which is the website. And this is the Colin King collection. I love this bedspread. It just is super easy and simple, and I just love how it all ties together. The bed frame is from Serena and Lily, and it's a custom fabric choice. I think they have a lot of different options, and I believe it's a fantastic company for bed frames and beds in general. The nightstands are from Soho Home. And I like to just accessorize it with fresh plants. I like this a little new style for an off-centered art piece. I thought that the red will really complement the light blue. So we've got this vintage ornate frame with an oil painting inside. And I like how it fits. My style is very clean and simple, and I like the bedroom to also feel extremely neat and simple. So that's basically why there is not a lot of things here. It's very, very simple and serene. I do like owning both. I do like having a place in the city and having a place out here. It's hard to pick because I couldn't go without a place in the city because that's where my job is and that's where I spend a lot of my time. I am leaning more towards this property just because it's larger. I get my mental break and I get to relax, and you know, it's slow and quiet, so it definitely helps. But I think it's a perfect combination if you have both. I never really planned to have 3 bedrooms. I don't necessarily even need 3 bedrooms, but it just so happened that it was the right size in terms of the square footage overall. It's not a massive house, and that's what I always wanted. I did not want a big house. So when I saw this, I saw, okay, well, it's a little bit on a tighter side. Like the bedrooms are not super big. They're well proportioned and they're enough, and that's all that mattered really to me. So I think this is a perfect amount of space for me and for my life at this moment. So 3 bedrooms is more than enough. Let me show you what I did with the third bedroom, which is actually a guest bedroom. I love my guests to feel very serene and to feel like they're in a hotel when they're here. So I've got this canopy built in that just adds a little bit more of a drama. It has a beautiful light during the day. It's a beautiful corner. I just scored this beautiful vintage armoire. This is about 100 years old, and it's just phenomenal. Facebook Marketplace find for the chair. Got to East Hampton a couple of weeks ago to pick it up. I think it's really nice. One thing that this house doesn't have a lot, in my opinion, is art and a lot of curation. And I think that's what comes in at the very last moment. But I do like to collect things over the, over the years. So every time I travel somewhere, I like to get a piece of it. Another bed cover from Calling King. I really like this neutral feel, but then with a tapestry pillow from our house. Interestingly enough, I waited about 4 months to get this custom pillow, to the point that I completely forgot that I ordered this, because obviously I've ordered so many things for this house, and then they all came and went and got returned or stayed. And then about a couple of months after everything was done, I received this large package, and I look and it's this pillow. So it was a really nice surprise. It felt like Christmas. So I really love the way it feels. It's very heavy, and it just adds a little dimension to the bedroom. This art piece is from Blank Marine Boutique again. Horses are extremely big thing in the Hamptons, and I wanted to bring that into the guest bedroom so that they can feel that they're in the Hamptons, and they can have the idea, okay, we are in the Hamptons, we're surrounded by horses, and here they are. There's one right behind their head. So the floating nightstands are from Zara Home. I've been obsessing with Zara Home recently. They've been really doing amazing things with a lot of furniture and decor. This is from Shop Architects. It's this like linen cover sconce. It was also like a custom production. It took a while to get there with the brass finish and wood. I think they look very interesting. I've never seen anything like this, and I obviously love linen for a summer house. So there's a lot of linens throughout the house, but I thought they would look really nice. They're extremely specific and different, so I love how they feel here. What does home mean to me? What does this particular home mean to me is serenity and peace, which I felt like I was always looking for. In New York City, we're under so much pressure, especially in the kind of job that I'm in. And so this home is very peaceful and very serene, and it brings me a lot of joy because I get to unwind and be extremely, extremely relaxed. I think that's it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.